I don't know if you've seen the footage of petrol bombs being thrown into a bus in Belfast. I don't know whether you've seen the pictures of the so-called peace walls that exist between unionist and Republican areas in Northern Ireland on fire. I don't know, maybe that's what he meant by sunlit uplands. Is it? Petrol bomb lit streets, perhaps, was what he had on the agenda. I'm going to play you this again before we get stuck into the story that's unfolding in Northern Ireland as we speak, because it seems to me to be perhaps, and again it's a very, very crowded field, but it is perhaps the most potent illustration of just how dishonest this entire administration has become. And it had to become this dishonest after the referendum result. There was no earthly way that you could deliver a Brexit that adhered to Theresa May's red lines or involved the abolition of free movement of people. That's the crucial point. There was no earthly way you could do that without threatening the intent and the spirit of the Good Friday Agreement. And do you know, of all the things that we took quite a lot of abuse and quite a lot of criticism, and you know, it has to be water off a duck's back most of the time, but of all the areas where particularly vitriolic attacks were launched upon people like me, this was the one that upset me the most, because it was about a peace process. It was about a hard-won peace. It was about freeing the streets of Northern Ireland of the kind of scenes that have now been unfolding for a few days. And look, it is simplistic and it is wrong to chalk it all up as a direct consequence of the so-called protocol. The protocol being, of course, a crucial part of the Withdrawal Agreement. So when a complete clown like Kate Hoey today tries to separate one from the other, I don't even know if dishonesty is the word to describe that. I think it's weapons grade stupidity. I think it is almost ingrained ignorance to the point of your personal identity demands that you can't understand, that you fail to understand, that you refuse to understand the consequences of your own action. And yes, it is the same Kate Hoey who, of course, wrote an article not that long ago, in fact, at roughly the same time, I think, that Boris Johnson was delivering that completely dishonest speech. It was Kate Hoey who wrote, "Brexit won't hurt Northern Ireland at all. Instead, it will brighten its future." Today, I thank the producer for this, because Kate Hoey, I discover, has blocked me on Twitter. Today she tweets, "The protocol has destabilised Northern Ireland." The protocol was a crucial part of the Withdrawal Agreement that she was a cheerleader for. Now, I honestly don't think she's bright enough to understand that. I think it would be unfair to call her dishonest. I just think she's incredibly stupid. And the risks, they are literally playing with fire. It's not even a figure of speech, given the scenes that have been unfolding on those streets over the last few nights. Placing a border between Great Britain and Northern Ireland without the consent of the pro-union community has been the trigger for this unacceptable violence. So there is Kate Hoey blaming it on Brexit while lacking the brain power to realise that she's blaming it on Brexit. I don't, for the record, blame it entirely on Brexit. There's no earthly way that a 13-year-old lad lobbing a brick at a police officer is doing so because he's worried about checks upon seed potatoes coming in to ports in Northern Ireland. He's doing it because he's bored, because he's been manipulated, because there are sinister forces at play, forces that benefit from chaos and destruction. But if Kate Hoey says it's because of Brexit, despite not being bright enough to realise that's what she's actually saying, who are you to argue? Do you know that there was a picture someone posted the other day? John Hume and Seamus Mallon walking on a beach, and the legacy that those men left to the land of my fathers has been put under mortal threat by the selfishness, the dishonesty, and the flag-wrapped stupidity of Boris Johnson and his cronies. Jacob Rees-Mogg on this programme claiming that warnings about what was likely to happen in Ireland in the event of Brexit, poo-pooing it, dismissing it as a red herring. Man alive. And still, I imagine there are people listening to this programme who somehow still think that he's on their side, that he speaks for them. Theresa May gave the DUP £1 billion to try to avoid this situation, and the DUP carked it. Boris Johnson, I'm going to play you that speech again. I apologise. We'll go straight to Derry afterwards because Ben is waiting. But just think about this. Think about what this man has done to the Good Friday Agreement, has done to the island of Ireland, and has done to the very basic, the most basic relationship between politics and truth. This is him speaking 3 years ago about the absolute impossibility of any Conservative government doing exactly what he did within months of winning the last general election. It actually, even for a very close chronicler of this corruption like me, it beggars belief. The sheer depth and extent of the dishonesty and hypocrisy contained within this 60-second clip is catastrophic for this country. Because, of course, it's not just the Good Friday Agreement that's under mortal threat today. It's the very United Kingdom itself. Now, I may not be somebody who would mourn a united Ireland, particularly, but if I'd voted to make Britain great again and I'd ended up seeing it diminished, reduced, divided, split, then I completely understand why perhaps you're not quite ready yet to admit to yourself just how completely you've been conned by this man.
We would be damaging the fabric of the Union with regulatory checks and even customs controls between Great Britain and Northern Ireland if we genuinely wanted to do free trade deals, if we wanted to cut tariffs on, as we should, by the way, on food from, to make food cheaper for our people, from sub-Saharan Africa or whatever, if we wanted to vary our regulation, then we would have to leave Northern Ireland behind as an economic semi-colony of the EU. And we would be damaging the fabric of the Union with regulatory checks and even customs controls between Great Britain and Northern Ireland, on top of those extra regulatory checks down the Irish Sea that are already envisaged in the Withdrawal Agreement. Now, I have to tell you, no British Conservative government could or should sign up to any such arrangement. And so,
cheered to the rafters for pledging that no Conservative government could ever do precisely what he did within moments of becoming Prime Minister.
What? It used to be linked to my presentation. Oh, I don't know. Stay there.